Here we go again. After last season's thrilling 7-game Western Conference Finals, the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets are back for more in Round 2. A trip to the NBA Finals won't be at stake, but don't let that fool you. This sequel is a must-see. Here's everything to know for Warriors-Rockets in the conference semifinals, which begin Sunday, 3:30 p.m. ET on ABC. Jump to Road to the Rematch, the matchup to watch. Top 10 players in the series, 0 for 27, revisiting Game 7, stats you need to know. 2019 NBA Playoffs, matchups, schedules, news and more. 1. Golden State Warriors Round 1, Def. Lack, 4-2 BP odds versus Who? 59%. How they got here. The Warriors were flat throughout Game 5 against the LA Clippers and got beat by a hungrier team, but aside from a quarter-and-a-half stretch in the second half of an epic 31-point collapse Game 2, the proud group still controlled the tough Clippers team throughout much of the series. It took 6 games, but the defending champs might have gotten the gut check they needed for a 5th consecutive run to the NBA Finals. The real issue for the Warriors in their first round win was that DeMarcus Cousins tore his left quad in Game 2 and is unlikely to return this postseason. They were banking on him being able to battle down on the blocks against the Rockets. What has changed since last season? Aside from the injured Cousins, the Warriors' only key acquisition this season will be on full display against Houston, Andrew Bogut. The Australian center joined the team in March, and head coach Steve Kerr has praised his return every step of the way. With Boogie out, Bogut will be playing big minutes and will be counted on to provide defensive stability. Biggest question, is Golden State's defense okay? The Warriors' issue is more a focus problem than a defensive one. Sure, the Clippers embarrassed them during the historic 31-point comeback in Game 2, and in Game 5 when they hit up Golden State for 71 first-half points. But this has been the same old story all season for the Warriors. Most nights they have it rolling and some nights they don't. This group has built up its habits all season, but the team can still turn it on when it needs it the most. The Clippers, though, didn't have a guy named James Harden. Nick Friedel. 4. Houston Rockets Round 1, Def. Utah, 4-1 BPI odds versus GS, 41%. How they got here. The Rockets made no apologies for winning ugly in the first round. After the Rockets rolled to routes in the first 2 games of the series, the Utah Jazz figured out how to execute their unique game plan against James Harden, who had his primary defender often playing behind him to prevent him from launching his lethal step-back three-pointer and daring him to drive and challenge elite rim protectors. The Rockets scored only 100.3 points per 100 possessions in the last 3 games of the series, when Harden shot only 32.3% from the field. That's what the playoffs are all about, Coach Mike D'Antoni said. It's not playing pretty. The Rockets, ranked second in the NBA in defensive efficiency after the All-Star break, were particularly proud to win on that end in the playoffs. One potential problem, the Jazz generated the most open looks in the first round, according to Second Spectrum data, but made only 26% of their uncontested three-pointers. Don't count on the Warriors missing so many wide-open looks. What has changed since last season? The most significant personnel change for the Rockets was the free agency departure of Trevor Ariza, their primary defender on Durant last season. An argument can be made, however, that Ariza's absence doesn't hurt Houston at all. According to Second Spectrum data, Durant scored 63 points on 18 of 37 shooting in 230 possessions, 113.9 team offensive rating, when defended by Ariza in last season's playoffs. With P.J. Tucker as the primary defender in the Rockets' 3 wins over the Warriors during the regular season, Durant sat out the Golden State win. KD scored 34 points on 13 of 27 shooting in 111 possessions, 106.3 team offensive rating. Biggest question, is the beard tired? Harden's fatigue factor is an annual postseason topic. That's especially true after he carried a historically heavy workload this season, and his poor shooting in the final 3 games of the first round sure won't hush the speculation. But let's give the Jazz their due, crediting an elite defensive team for excellent execution, after 2 terrible games, of a game plan specifically tailored to Harden. And Harden didn't seem too tired when he made 9 of his final 14 field goal attempts in the elimination game. The Rockets handling their business in 5 games also gave them a rest advantage heading into the second round. Tim McMahon. Warriors-Rockets schedule gameday time ET, MATCHUPTV1 Sun 4, 283 to 30 p.m. Houston at Golden State ABC 2 Tuesday 4, 3010 to 30 p.m. Houston at Golden State 10 3 Sat 5, 48 to 30 p.m. Golden State at Houston ABC 4 Mon 5, 69 to 30 p.m. Golden State at Houghton 5 Wed 5/8 TBD Houston at Golden State and 6 Fry 5/10 TBD Golden State at Houston Spin 7 Sun 5/12 TBD Houston at Golden State TBD if necessary. Matchup: Curry vs. Harden. Rockets love to isolate Harden, but when they play Golden State, it's more accurate to say that they love to isolate him against Stephen Curry. Over the past 3 seasons, nobody has switched on to Harden as much as Curry, and that's no accident. Aside from splashing all those three-pointers, the defining trait of the Warriors dynasty might be the tendency to switch defensive assignments. The Rockets tried to exploit that tendency by hunting and isolating mismatches more than any other rival. Dating to the 2016-17 season, more than 2,800 unique NBA player duos have matched up at least 125 times. Within that sample, Harden vs. Curry produces the most extreme stats. Lest you think we're exaggerating, consider these 4 factoids, via second spectrum tracking. No other matchup elicits a higher usage rate by the offensive player. Only one matchup is more likely to include a drive. Only 2 other matchups produce free throws at a higher rate. No other matchup yields more points for the offensive player out of more than 2,800. Harden vs. Curry is the wildest analytical matchup in the NBA, especially when you consider the stakes involved. After all, these are 2 MVPs and scoring champs battling for Western Conference supremacy. When you compare Harden's key matchup numbers with other Golden State defenders, you quickly understand why Houston designed sets to target Curry. Harden vs. GSW, 2016-17 to present, defender usage rate, drive after 8 points, Stephen Curry 50.342.519.252.7, Draymond Green 37.122.45.635.5, Kevin Durant 33.615.85.836.0, Klay Thompson 27.021.26.128.5, Andre Iguodala 28.022.012.020. 0.1 Source, Second Spectrum, per 100 possession. Harden is much more aggressive and much more fruitful against Curry than against any other Warriors player. His usage rate surges to 50.3, right around the average for an NBA Jam game, but a cartoonish number for any real-life environment. With Curry on him, Harden is more than twice as likely to drive to the basket and get to the free throw line. The other guys in that table are either strong enough or long enough to dissuade Harden's aggression, but Curry is slight and short compared to his teammates, and he is much less able to slow Harden's rim attacks. While it's tempting to interpret the data as an indictment of Curry's defense, there's something else happening here. It just so happens that all of the other defenders in that table are world-class, and Houston's tendency to isolate and attack Curry at freakish rates says just as much about its respect for those other dudes as it does about Curry. Isolating Curry isn't Houston's best choice, but it's really the Rockets' only chance. Kirk Goldsberry's 10 best players in the series. 1. Stephen Curry. Warriors. Though Durant's scoring received more attention, the Warriors were at their best in last season's matchup with Curry on the court, and, with ample help from the now-injured Cousins, he led Golden State to this season's lone head-to-head win despite Durant missing the game because of injury. Watch the ankle. The point 2. Kevin Durant. Warriors' Durant size creates matchup problems for the Rockets, who have to shuffle assignments to put PJ Tucker on him at all times. What happens if Tucker gets into foul trouble? Buckets. Shirley. Point 3. James Harden. Rockets. The league's best regular season player over the past 2 seasons, Harden has struggled to maintain his scoring efficiency against the Warriors' defense, posting a .538 true shooting percentage in the 2018 Conference Finals and .559 in 3 meetings this season as compared to his season-long .616 mark. Point 4. Chris Paul. Rockets. Paul's hamstring strain late in Game 5 changed last season's conference finals, and he could be a difference maker in this season's matchup if he stays on the court all 5 games. Point 5. Klay Thompson. Warriors. 6. Eric Gordon. Rockets. Thompson and Gordon occupy similar roles for their teams, supplying frequent three-pointers and versatile perimeter defense. Despite Gordon offering a bit more shot creation, Thompson gets the edge as a shooter and defender. Point 7. PJ Tucker, Rockets with Trevor Ariza gone. Tucker is Houston's best and perhaps only good option against Durant. If he makes 48% of his threes, as he did in the 2018 matchup, all the better. Point 8. Draymond Green, Warriors. The Rockets have managed to affect Green by laying off and daring him to shoot threes. Green shot just 2 of 17 beyond the arc in last season's conference finals, and was 0 of 8 in this season's head-to-head series. Point 9. Andre Iguodala, Warriors far and away the best reserve on either side now that Gordon has become a starter. Iguodala helped the Warriors to a 2-1 lead last May before going down because of a left lateral leg contusion that sidelined him the rest of the series. Point 10. Clint Capella, Rockets. Capella averaged a double-double, 15 points, 14.8 rebounds, against Golden State this season, logging more minutes, 35.9 per game, than in last season's series, 28.5, when Mike D'Antoni was forced to go to Tucker at center at times to keep up with the Warriors' smaller lineups. Kevin Pelton 0 for 27, when Clutch City became Brick City for Game 7, a hamstring away, they say in Houston, referring to the Chris Paul injury that folks there will always believe denied the Rockets from eliminating Golden State and claiming last season's NBA championship. If they're shooting straight, though, the Rockets' record-breaking brickfest in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals must be mentioned as well. With Paul watching from the bench, the Rockets raced out to a 15-point lead over the Warriors in the second quarter to get Toyota Center crowd roaring. Soon thereafter, the most prolific three-point shooting team in NBA history at the time simply stopped making shots. Clank, 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 clank. 27 consecutive missed threes, the most in a row in playoff history. That's no way to close out an all-time great team. The Warriors walked out with a 101-92 win to punch their ticket to their fourth consecutive NBA Finals. We had a lot of open shots, James Harden said that night, when he was 2 of 13 from three-point range, missing his final 11 attempts. We just gonna keep shooting them. Some Rockets sources grumble that Harden should have gone to the line on a few of his misses, saying that the league office later acknowledged that the referees missed fouls on at least 2. Perhaps fatigue was a factor as well, particularly considering only one Rockets reserve played more than 8 minutes. Warriors coach Steve Kerr, who grumbled that he didn't recognize the Golden State team that spotted the Rockets the big lead in the first half, certainly thought so. I knew how tired Houston was, Kerr said. The way they play with James running semi-screen and rolls. That's exhausting, and then he's got to go down to the other end and guard Klay Thompson, and getting switched off onto Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. It's tiring. So, Harden had such a big burden on his shoulders, and we just wanted to maintain our defense, or get our defense going, and hope that the fatigue on their side would be a factor, and I knew our guys would make some shots. Trevor Ariza definitely looked tired in what ended up being his final game in a Rockets uniform. At age 32, he played 42 minutes and got outscored 34-0 by Durant, missing all 12 of his shots from the field, including 9 three-pointers. D'Antoni had been criticized for using a short bench after past playoff exits, in Houston and elsewhere, not that he had a ton of options with Paul and Luc Mbah a Moute, shoulder, unavailable. He also had been ripped for relying too much on the three-pointer, although that's an outdated opinion in the analytics era. The Rockets certainly haven't responded by scaling back. Houston broke the NBA record for threes made and attempted this season, just as it did the previous 2 years of D'Antoni's tenure. And now Houston gets another shot at Golden State. We keep knocking on the door, D'Antoni said after the Game 7 loss. It'll eventually open. McMahon stats to know for Warriors. Rockets in rare company. Best record versus Warriors last 2 seasons, including playoffs. TEAMW low win percent. Rockets 8-6 *.571, Jazz 4-3.571, Blazers 4-3.571 includes 3-1. This seesaw. No team has played the Warriors tougher in recent years than the Rockets. Including the playoffs, Houston is 8-6 against them over the past 2 seasons, one of only 3 teams to have a winning record against Golden State. And this season, the Rockets won 3 of 4 meetings, becoming only the second team to beat the Warriors 3 times in a regular season under Steve Kerr. No other team beat the Warriors 3 times in the 2018-19 regular season. The stars were out Warriors vs. Rockets 2018-19 DATERESULTNOTABLES out Nov. 15 who 107 GS 86 Stephen Curry Jan. 3 who 135 GS 134 Eric Gordon Chris Paul Feb. 2-3 HOU 118 GS 112 James Harden Mark 1-3 GS 106 who 104 Kevin Durant DeMarcus Cousins inactive will miss series vs. Who? The Rockets won the season series against the Warriors, but none of the 4 games featured a full roster on either side. Cousins, who played in 2 of the 4 regular season matchups between the rivals, will be the only star missing this second-round series. Will Steph's ankle play a factor? Most time switching on Rockets ball handler. Warriors in 2018 West Finals. Player switches points Alouette Stephen Curry 11,275 Kevin Looney 6,350 Draymond Green 4,329 Source, Second Spectrum Curry rolled his ankle in Game 6 against the Clippers but said he was fine afterward. Could the Rockets use that to their advantage? In last year's conference finals, Curry switched onto the ball handler 112 times, 49 times more than any other Warriors player. The Rockets scored 75 points when they switched onto Curry, the most allowed by a Warriors player. Draymond's triple threat most wins without a loss when recording triple-double, NBA history, including playoffs. PLAYERWL Draymond Green 27-0, Stephen Curry 8-0, Joakim Noah 7-0. Source, Elias Sports Bureau. If Green gets a triple-double, odds are Golden State as getting the W. The Warriors are 27-0 all-time when Green records a triple-double, including the playoffs. That's by far the most wins without a loss by any player in NBA history. ESPN Stats.